A crew of a research spaceship discovered an abandoned vessel named Deemer, which had been lost from Earth's radar 380 years ago. The Deemer was originally sent on a crucial mission to carry seeds of life to the exoplanet Tachus, located 200,000 light-years from Earth. Tachus had been selected as an ideal world to give rise to a new human civilization, with the mission to sow the foundations of life and ensure humanity's survival beyond its home planet. After losing contact with Earth, the Deemer was presumed lost, but upon finding it drifting in space, the new crew decides to investigate what caused its mission to fail. While exploring the abandoned ship, they come across numerous coffins and the remains of the former crew, adding to the sense of horror and mystery. Soon they find one survivor, Dracula, an ancient vampire who somehow appeared on the ship. The crew consists of 6 people: Abraham Van Helling, the captain of Mother 2; Arthur, also known as the Professor, who is the system design and maintenance; Mina, their navigator, who is an intern and works for free; Humvee, a cargo specialist who does all the savage works, 187, whose IQ was 187 before he got into college and started smoking; and finally, Aurora, the vice captain of the ship, who likes to keep to herself but has ambition. After getting into the spaceship, they start to explore it by splitting in groups. Professor 187, Captain, and Aurora find a mummy in one of the rooms. The mummy was holding to a crucifix, and his hands were tied to the chair, on which 187 suggests that the mummy did it to himself. They say that the guy must have needed God's help to have the cross on him, because it was banned many years ago. Soon, Mina and the professor join them, and they start discussing how to tell the news to the crew back on Earth. Aurora stops them and says they should try to find out what happened to the spaceship before they try to restart the ship and take it home. She suggests they leave it there and report it to the authorities. However, they laugh at her and even insult her. Mina mentions the possibility of them not making it back home and asks what could have possibly happened to the spaceship's crew. 187 tells her that they have found somebody talking about the dead skeleton. Captain sends out 187 and Hanvey to do a recheck on the ship. 187 tells Hummy that people used to send out drugs in a spaceship like this, but Hummy dismisses him, saying he's too high right now. Too soon they find a room full of coffins. 187 immediately thinks that it is full of drugs and decides to open one of them. While doing that, he cut his arm, and it was a deep cut. He urges Hummy to help him open the rest. Mina finds them and tells them to pay respect to the dead. Humvee goes back to the captain and the professor as 187 stays with the coffins. Professor and the rest of the crew are trying to start the ship, ignoring Aurora's suggestion to leave it there and go back. Soon, something happens with the ship as it roars back to life, but they don't seem to know what. The whole crew hears a scream and gathers to find out what it is. They find 187 in the room, but he is lying on his back with his knee bone coming out, and he is in shock trying to tell them what happened before he passes out. Humvee takes him and lays him down for the professor to examine him. Professor tells him to straighten 10187's leg, but he says he can't do it, and Aurora volunteers. Captain gets out to have a smoke, and Aurora follows him. They start getting close to each other as they are talking, but get interrupted by Mina. Mina confronts her about what they were talking about and that they should be told if there's something wrong, but Aurora tells her there's nothing wrong. Captain goes back in, and Professor shows him the teeth marks he found on 187's neck. As they are trying to figure it out, 187 suddenly wakes up. His eyes were red, and he had turned into a vampire. He follows the professor and attacks him as Captain gets up from where he was thrown. Captain tries to beat 187, but turns to him and throws him across. Aurora gets in just in time and warns 187 that she will shoot him if he moves. He turns to her and tells her what he has thought of her ever since he saw her and wishes to do things to her. She then tries to shoot him, but he doesn't even flinch. She drops the gun and runs to escape. She finds a room and closes it behind her before 187 can reach her. Humvee goes to where the crew are and they tell him what happened, but he tells them 187 was unconscious before he left. They tell him he's following Aurora, trying to turn her into a vampire while looking for her. 187 runs into the vampire who bit him, Dracula. He asks if 187 will obey all his commands, and when he agrees, he orders him to kill them all. 187 leaves happily on a mission to kill his crew. Dracula goes to Aurora and she asks who he is. He ignores her questions and gets close to her before he bites her neck. In the meantime, the professor is telling Mina to guard the door. Once she gets to the door, she gets caught by 187 and locked in the next room, and the professor is unable to help her. Captain and Humi join him, and he tells them to get Mina instead. They find Aurora, and she tells them she didn't see 187, but she saw him. They return to the professor, and they learn about Dracula. Aurora tells them that his name is Count Orlak, and he is from Transylvania, a plant of vampires. Captain tells them that's where the ship came from, and also about the video he saw of the previous captain. Aurora tells them that his planet is dead, and according to him, that's nothing left of it. He is the last one of his kind, and he was in one of the coffins. They learn that he survives on blood and that he needs to eat them. After seeing what happened to 187, Aurora is certain that whoever he bites will turn into a vampire. Professor tells them that their ship has left, taking off on its own, and Dracula did that, meaning they're stuck on this ship with a vampire. The members of the new crew begin to suspect that Deer's crew fell under the influence of an unknown alien life form that transformed them into vampire-like beings similar to Dracula. It is theorized that this alien entity used vampirism as a method of control, turning the crew into immortal but subservient beings for its own purposes. Perhaps the entity intended to use the ship to spread its influence, directing it toward other worlds, and Dracula happens to be on the ship because of the presence of the alien. Captain pulls a gun out and questions how Aurora knows about everything she told them. He checked her neck looking for bite marks like 187, but there were none. The professor urges them to go to the main deck and get the ship started. Captain orders Hoove to tie up Aurora. The professor and Captain go to the main deck, while Humi stays with Aurora. She tells him she has no bite marks on her neck, but he insists that she might be bit somewhere else other than her neck. She tries to seduce him, saying that he'll be able to see her naked if he unites her and checks her body for any bite marks, but he turns down her offer. The professor tells the captain that they can fly the ship and takes an order to head to the closest place he can get them. Aurora tried to free herself by telling Humvee to go to the bathroom, but he wouldn't listen. In the main deck, the professor finds out the history of vampires and asks what the captain wants to know. He tells him to find out how to kill him. They learn that his name is Orlak, also known as Dracula. They find the name Van Heming, the captain's name, on the list, and also learn that he is a vampire killer. The professor makes the assumption that the name could be his longtime great-great-grandfather and that what is happening could be a revenge situation, but Captain calms him, saying it's just a coincidence. While Humvee is guarding Aurora, 187 starts to bang on the safe door, begging them to let him in. He gets on his soft spot, telling him how they treat them, black people, and that they don't care about them, but that they should stay together. Humvee opens the door, ignoring Aurora warning him not to open the door. Once 187 is inside, he throws Humvee across the room, and Aurora calls out for Captain. The captain leaves the professor, locking him in. 187 gets on Humvee and tries to bite his neck, but the captain arrives and stops him from doing so. He shoots at him, but 187 is tired of telling them that he is now a vampire, which makes him immortal, and to stop wasting their bullets, he takes the gun from the captain and gives it back to try and kill him once more. While talking to him, Hoove sticks a pool cue through his chest, and he collapses. Aurora insists that they untie her, but they still question why she didn't get bit by Dracula and that they can't trust her. Aurora finally confesses that she works for a company called NWC, and they have been under surveillance for the last 3 moon cycles. Hearing this, the captain orders Humi to untie her, but Humi isn't sure if he should trust her. Not yet. Heading to where the professor is, he tells Aurora he's watching her every move. The professor, who is hiding under a table when they arrive, asks what happened to 187, and they tell him what happened. He tells them that's a way to kill vampires, but the wood has to be organic, not a synthetic one, and it has to go through the heart. He tells them the other way is using a crucifix, and Aurora remembers the one the dead mummy was holding. Into the professor keeps on to tell them the most effective way is to expose vampires to the sun, and they would turn into ash. Captain reminds him that they're on a spaceship. Aurora suggests that they turn the ship to head to the sun, and they all agree. The captain and Aurora go to find more pool cues, while Humvee stays with the professor. He asks how long it'll take them till they make it to the sun, and he learns it'll take them 13 hours. After finding their pool cues, Captain and Aurora go to the coffins, looking for Dracula, and start opening the coffins one by one, only to find sand in each of them. Finally, they find a woman vampire, and the captain stabs her heart with the stick. Soon another coffin pops open, and Dracula comes out. Captain orders Aurora to go get Humi. Dracula tells him that he's been waiting for him for half a century. Aurora knocks on the door where the professor and Humi are in, telling them that the captain needs their help. But Humi won't open the door, remembering how 187 tricked it last time. Aurora leaves angry and goes to get a crucifix. Humi soon leaves the professor looking for Dracula, but the professor follows him out. He runs into Dracula, who offers him his hand and asks him to walk with him. Humi and Aurora make it to the coffin room to find the captain in pain as they try to help him. He attacks Humi as he is now a vampire. Aurora takes out the stick from the woman vampire and stabs the captain. The woman vampire tries to attack Aurora, but she scares her away with the crucifix, and Humi stabs her heart with the stick. After leaving the room, they find the professor with his back against them. Aurora stops Humi from touching him and stabs him with the crucifix. They hear Dracula heading to them, and they close the door, but he sticks in his hand halfway through. They use all their power to close the door, and Dracula's arm falls off. Inside the room, therein they go to check the monitors and learn that they have 12 hours before they reach the sun. The bad news is that they won't be going home, but the good thing is Dracula won't either. The tape recorded by the previous captain plays, and the man states that his purpose is to sacrifice the Demer and himself to prevent from reaching Earth, and the spaceship explodes into fire.